Hey there everybody, Abby here. Though I'm sure you probably already knew that, this is my YouTube channel. I have to admit that it'd be pretty weird if somebody else had uploaded something here. I'm just here to give you guys just some pointers on just what I do. I get a lot of questions that are like, how do you draw this, or how do you get better at art, or can you teach me how to be better at art? And it's really not something that can be taught, but it can be something that can be advised a little bit. And after, wandering around the internet and being bored today, I decided that maybe I should, try and give you guys just some general pointers, not, something that everybody could see. Specifically about drawing dogs, because that's my expertise. And although it's not the only thing that I do, it's one thing that I see a lot of my fan base doing wrong. And I don't mean wrong as though, oh, your artwork sucks, you should stop, or anything like that. I'm not trying to be insulting to you guys. Everybody has their own style, and you can draw however the heck you want. But I'm saying that if you want to try drawing dogs, or practically anything, actually, the techniques I'm about to show you apply to anything. Whatever you're drawing, if you want to do it, very objectively, if you want to become better at it, proficient at it, then you really got to start thinking about what you're doing. One thing that I was very surprised is that a lot of people don't use reference. And they find pride in that when they draw without reference, and to some degree, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like if somebody can do a really, really nice painting and not have looked at anything, I mean, that shows some amount of a certain type of skill. But it's unfortunately not a skill that you really need or really want to have, for that matter. It's consider that the animators for Disney used reference. I mean, you never sit there and call those guys bad artists, They use reference. It's what they do. And no matter what art school you go to, they will tell you time and time again to use reference. There's nothing wrong with using reference. It's not a weak crutch or anything. It just makes you more efficient, faster, and ultimately more accurate in your artwork. And accuracy is something that you really should be striving for. Not realism. Don't lump sum the two together and call it realism. I mean, look at Abby here. She is not realistic at all. That's not what a hyena looks like. They don't wear hats. They don't sit up on their hind legs like that. She's not realistic. But she's accurate. You can look at her and you can say, oh, that's a hyena. Not a flower, or something like that. There are features that make hyenas different from other objects in the world, and that's what you want to pick out of reference. You don't necessarily have to have the same pose. You don't necessarily have to draw out all the fur or anything when you're drawing from reference. You don't have to do all that. It doesn't have to be realistic. It just has to look like the thing that you're drawing, essentially. And I can't understand why any artist would not want their characters or their creatures or whatever it is that they're drawing to look like what it's supposed to be. And that's where reference can help you. A lot of people, for example, don't actually know or even indicate a difference between different species of animals. For example, a lot of people will draw a wolf, and it'll look exactly like the dog they drew 5 minutes ago. And that's horribly inaccurate. That's terrible. I don't even know why you would even do that. It's because there are a number of differences. I could sit here for hours and tell you all the differences between wolves and dogs and things. I think I want to see this movie. I'm not sure. I'm a little distracted. Okay, anyway, go away, YouTube. You're distracting me. And I think, and that's the main thing that I wanted to cover in this particular tutorial. So bear with me if you're bored already. I know I talk a little bit slow and kind of boring. But I mean, if you don't want to better yourself as an artist, if you're happy the way that your art is, good for you. Go do whatever it is that makes you happy, and leave this tutorial, because I can't help you. If you're happy with where you are, then stay where you are and do whatever makes you happy, because that's what art's for. But if you want to actually, be a better artist, if you want to get to my level, which a lot of people tell me, if you want to get to the level of any particular artist, reference is what's going to help you get there. Because a lot of the problems I see with people is inaccuracies. And I say inaccuracies with like anatomy and stuff, but anatomy is a very specific term that really, at least in modern connotations, typically refers to things like bone structure and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Anatomy is a lot less technical than a lot of people think, and I'm going to show you that. All right, I'm going to pick up a photograph of a wolf here, just real quick, right off of Google. I don't recommend using Google. because it's a lot of the photographs you'll find here on Google. I mean, first off, not all of them are photographs. You get paintings and stuff, and you definitely don't want to use paintings as reference because that's somebody else's artwork. That's technically art theft. You don't want to do that. But a lot of these photographs are not actually legal for you to use. Like some of these are copyrighted, and you can't really tell, unfortunately. Like I know this one is copyrighted. It's on somebody's photography website, so you can't. And a lot of people do actually use this photograph for things, and you're not supposed to. It's somebody's copyrighted photography, you know. So don't take that stuff and use it for anything really. You can still typically reference it if you change it up a lot, you know, if you can't really tell, because referencing doesn't automatically mean that you copy the picture line for line, and I'm sure you guys have seen that in my work before. But you still want to try to avoid using copyrighted work because some people are really, really stingy about that. So I typically use stock photography websites. Like my favorite place is called, what's it called? iStockphoto.com. I as in iPod, stock as in stock photography, and photo as in stock photography again. And it's a really great reference, and all of that stuff. You really only get preview images, so it's kind of hard to do if you're just learning. But for somebody like me who just really needs like a very basic layout for her pictures, I find it actually very, very useful. And I use it for a lot of my work. They have a lot of pictures of animals, actually, surprisingly enough. So that's fantastic. I'm just trying to pull up a nice picture, a full-body picture of a wolf here, without stumbling on any wolf spiders, because I hate spiders. I hate spiders. Yes, I do. Oh, there's one. That'll do. So here we have a wolf. She appears to be howling for some reason. That's my dog in the background, by the way. I'm sorry, he's making noise. I think it's his dinner time, so he's probably like, what are you doing with the camera, lady? Anyway, I'm wasting time here. I'm down to 7 minutes. So one of the main things that I want to point out about the features of wolves, and that makes them different from other canines, is most of the features in their head. The heads of canines are all completely different, even though they're all canines and they're all fundamentally the same. So what you want to really, really take into account is the shape of the ears. I see a lot of people giving their wolves huge, gigantic ears, and wolves really don't have gigantic ears. In fact, compared to most canines, they have very small ears. For example, I'm going to pull up another Google, there we go. I'm going to pull up another Google image of a coyote. And I see a lot of people who will draw a coyote exactly the same way as they draw a wolf, only just make it like proportionately smaller to other canines in the screen. And that is not true at all. That is not remotely accurate. Coyotes and wolves look totally different, particularly in their faces. Let me get a nice big picture so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Here's a lovely coyote. He's pretty. He's like looking at something. Look at that lighting. Anyway, but look at the size of the ears on this coyote. Look at this. I mean, his ears are ginormous. They have the same general appearance as a wolf ear. You can see that they're very triangular, particularly when viewed from a 3/4 angle. But they have a very round tip compared to the tip of a wolf's ear, as you see here. Now notice that a wolf ear is still not pointed. It's still somewhat round, and it's got a very wide base. It's like a very stout kind of pyramid or cone almost shape compared to the coyote, who's got this very tall, almost spire-like look to his ear. And then compare that to like a dog, say a German Shepherd, another animal that I see a lot of people just sort of drawing the same way as they draw a wolf, but just changing the colors up a little bit and saying, oh yeah, this is totally a German Shepherd now. It's not. They're not the same animal. Genetically they're the same, but they don't look the same at all. We've bred different features into them. I got to change the size. Take advantage of the size changes that you can make over here in Google. You can limit yourself to larger images, which will help you identify these little tiny details. And notice that I'm not getting technical, so you don't have to know like the interior structure of the ear of a dog. You just have to look and visually understand what it is that you're looking at. And in terms of a German Shepherd, look, they also have extremely tall ears compared to, say, a wolf, who has very, very short ears by comparison. So keep an eye on that. And I'm running out of time here, so I'll probably have to go into a part 2. If you guys like this, then I'll make more. So give me 1 second. I'm switching over.